I used to talk about how the book, The Teachings of Don Juan, by Carlos Castanera, I think it was. There was a passage in it, like this guy was studying anthropology, and he was doing his thesis or paper or whatever for school, and he went and immersed himself into an Indian tribe and apprenticed himself to their shaman and learned from their shaman the ways of the wisdom of the tribe. And he talked about how so many people that studied anthropology would study groups of people in their natural habitat and watch them and take notes and observe, but not immerse themselves and interact. They would try to maintain an object subject distance so that they can maintain their objectivity and their impartiality. And the guy, the narrator of the book, talked about how they didn't understand these people, that they were like, that they didn't immerse themselves in it, they weren't transformed by it, and they didn't understand it, and they didn't connect to it. That they could never understand because of the way that they were doing things. And it had parallels to Plato's cave, where Plato talked about a bunch of philosophers in a cave that can only look forward, and the world is happening behind them, and it's casting shadows on the wall, and they have no capacity to interact with the shadows on the wall. They can't touch the shadows on the wall. They can't interact with the shadows on the wall. They can't talk to the shadows on the wall. They can't transform or be transformed by the shadows on the wall. And they see the shadows on the wall and they think they see reality, but they don't. Reality is happening behind them. Reality is all back here happening behind them, and they just see the shadows on the wall and they don't have a clue. I talked about this, and people had like what amounted to a philosophical disagreement with me on this, and they argued about it, and they tried to show whether their way or my way was right and all this sort of stuff, to understand someone by observing them, by watching them, to see what they do, to see them. And I always actively rejected that. To me, it was like, immerse yourself in it, connect to it on a visceral level, be transformed by it and transform them and have a connection. And that was like a core part of my philosophy. To watch and judge and take notes and have opinions, but to actually go in and be immersed in it and to be transformed by it and have a connection to it. A primal, real connection to it. And people like, which way is right? Whose way is right? If you took all those philosophers in Plato's cave and you asked them to have a vote on what the truth was, they would all agree. They could all reassure each other that they understood the truth, because they're all seeing the same shadows on the wall. And I think really, when I try to defend my position, the wisdom of my position, I think really it might be more important to talk about the relationship between the people that are observing the tribe and the tribe itself. Now, these people, these anthropologists that are maintaining their objectivity, They're maintaining their emotional distance. They're not being transformed by what they're observing, but they're watching and they're studying and they're taking notes. A good question would be, after these cultural anthropologists have finished taking their little notes and observing everybody and building this profile, what kind of a relationship do they have with those Indians? Like, now that they've finished their little study, what kind of relationship do they have with these people? None. What is the value of their study? To go away and talk to other people about what they saw. Do they have any connection of any kind with these people that they've been studying? No. Is there a possibility that down the line these cultural anthropologists that are watching can later have a relationship with these people? No. These cultural anthropologists that tried to maintain their cool distance and maintain their boundaries and not be transformed, but to watch and to study and to see these people, they will never, ever get to have a relationship of any kind at any point ever with these people that they've studied. There is zero chance that that will happen.